May. Let's get into the turn and see how it is. Rain, that's unfortunate. It isn't actually very good at all. We need the Luftwaffe doing their best work. We're halfway to the victory points needed. And up to 16% losses. Ouch, that's like 2% since last turn, which I have this horrible feeling is going to be mostly 6th Army. On the upside, the French are up to a third of their strength and the British 15. While the Belgians are really suffering. The Dutch, however, are doing good work and holding pretty steady. Right, let's go and have a look at the history. Starting with 18th Army, I finished off a few units down here, but basically our ability to advance is fairly compromised by the losses and just the sheer amount of French that we're facing. We sent the mobile units north to threaten a breakout here, basically to make these guys withdraw. And elsewhere we sort of slowly advanced. There's a fair amount of French units in there, and to our great dismay we discover, having broken the line here, that there's a huge amount of French armoured divisions in the edge of the wood, which isn't really something we want to see. But yeah, we're across the river in force, and they should be feeling a bit of threat here. I got a bit ahead of myself with this advance. I probably should not have sent these guys so far forward. With some desperate manoeuvring, I did manage to make the breach 2 hexes wide, but this hex is probably going to get shattered because of a 4 hex side attack. And up here we're just finishing off the remnants. Nothing unexpected here. They have been out of supply for a few turns, so they're falling apart pretty easily. 6th Army kind of reorients. I had a bunch of shuffling to do to make sure units were in the same, units of the same division were in the same places and the same corps as well. When you got this many units packed into such a small space, it's quite a challenge to actually organise them all. We also forced the bridge here. That's the key part. Is this turn we'll be able to throw a bridge across to make sure that BB Joey's panzer divisions are supplied. We're so advanced here. The line is pretty thin. I was expecting there to be a few more units, but they really were a bit less than I thought, to be honest. We didn't press the attack too hard because we are being cautious and just trying to inflict maximum casualties on the French right now, so their line dissolves. Despite this thing being hit repeatedly, it held and inflicted huge casualties on us. I mean, very frustratingly. Yeah, I basically pulled a bunch of mobile units off the line and stacked them up just behind it, so that if the French don't fall back, they'll be in a fair bit of trouble next turn. I might even be able to cut them off against the river line here. Again, attacks which shouldn't really have fail. It's getting quite frustrating now. But yeah, overall, not a bad turn for 6th. 4th Army moves in. They're doing good work here, just breaking down the defences bit by bit. It is horrible work trying to fight in a city like this. All you can really do is get the artillery in and attack from as many hex sides as possible. Even then you take casualties, it's just the way of it. That one probably shouldn't have failed. I think more artillery is the answer here. Sure, I mean it's the answer to everything really, but oof, that's probably not a good idea putting these guys here. They'll get beaten up by many hex sides attacking them. But overall it looks like the siege of Brussels and Antwerp is ongoing. Good work here by 12th. Cities really reduce the effectiveness of artillery, so there's only so much they can do. Looks like the British are stacking up still. That's quite a good hit. Yeah, this is what happens when you overstack within range of the Luftwaffe. Yeah, it looks like they lost a lot of artillery, as well as a fair amount of troops. Unfortunate, that probably should have worked, but it did this time. Again, at least we didn't take many casualties. Ouch, that was a bit unfortunate. We killed quite a lot of artillery pieces though, so that's always good. It does enormously reduce their combat capabilities as they lose pieces. Oh dear, some horrible failing attacks. I'm guessing this is the low readiness of these guys because they've been struggling to get supply. Not unexpected, we wipe a few regiments there, and yeah, Baby Joe consolidates, which is good. And finally we're on to 16th Army, who are just continuing their siege, basically. The Dutch have fought well and done an excellent delaying action, but I'm starting to wonder how much more they can have in them. And we're on to the Belgian, or French turn, sorry. Yeah, it looks like the French are evacuating from the north. It seems they're, yeah, falling back and leaving the Belgians to their fate, which is good and bad. Good in that he helps us knock out the Belgians a bit faster. Bad in that there's more French elsewhere to worry about. Now, the moment of truth about that exposed regiment of 9th. I do hope they don't batter them back. Oh dear. That's not as bad as I had hoped. I had set them on 25% retreat, so yeah, we only lost 5 tanks. It's not the end of the world. Oh dear. I do hope they don't. Ooh, it's expensive for both sides, but we managed to hold. Still, not great. At least they've sent the armoured units into the open to fight us, which is good and bad. Wow, okay, I'm quite surprised by this aggressive counterattack here. And we lost an enormous amount of tanks. That, oh god, it looks like a whole panzer regiment evaporated. I mean, I don't even know what to say about this. The amount of fight the French have gotten is just unreal. I wonder where the Luftwaffe were. They should have been covering these guys. Looks like the overstacking of the British lines continues apace, and they are also evacuating the Belgians. I guess they don't want to be cut off from the French. Ah well, could be worse. Ouch, yeah. No surprise there. Still not looking hopeful for these guys. They've gone. Looks like the Belgians are up. Wow, okay, that's a lot of losses from artillery fire. God's sake. Guess it's good. Yeah, it's just because the Germans are very badly overstacked. Looks like the Belgians are consolidating but not moving too much. And the Dutch do their thing. yeah, planes don't manage to achieve anything at all, really. So there is that. Just recon missions here. Right. That's pretty much it. Let's have a look at this front. Hasn't really moved. The Dutch are just basically clinging on, and once 16th Army manages to breach this line, I hope they just hold ground cards and haste. It's not a lot of use. Once 16th Army manages to breach this ground, that's it. They should be starting to roll for surrender anytime now. Further down, we've got the siege of Brussels and Antwerp. Brussels is the closest to being over, and that hex I expect to fall this turn. Probably not the actual Brussels hex, although it is fairly overstacked, and looks like one of the regiments is in quite bad shape. Same here, the Belgians are really struggling to hold the line while the British run for their lives, by the looks of it. But curious what these French guys are doing. I suspect they were just holding up here, and now they've decided that I assume the Belgians have started rolling for surrender, so the British and the French are trying to escape while they still can. Further south, the beachhead over the river is all good. This is again a hugely overstacked hex. 157, so it's twice their stacking points. It's got a whole infantry division in that hex, so yeah, I think we could probably put a bit of hurt on them. We also, Charleroi, looks like, yeah, Baby Joe managed to get that bridge up and running by himself. He doesn't need me to do it. And last but not least, the French have fallen back again behind a screening force of infantry in the forest. Quite frustrating. I assume there are probably units in this city here because I just can't see them, so I'll have to do some scouting. Let me just quickly check. What do we got? Reshuffle. Who's in a crucial position? 17th. Let's give 17th a bit more experience. And last but not least, in the south, yeah, the French are just like holding the line in the forest. It's not easy to fight forward here, basically, especially with the rivers and the heavy forest with its horrible malice to attack. Yeah, and down here, what do we got? We've got big chunks of Belgian motorized divisions holding the river line. Forts here with solid infantry divisions. Panzers, well, sorry, armored divisions out in the open, so these guys would be in some deep shit if I had a functional Luftwaffe this turn, but I don't, so yeah. The units themselves are in quite poor shape because of that failed attack. Mine aren't enormously better though. I suspect the best bet would be to try and force this fortress, get a bridge over the river, and then, because look at them, they've still got supply and stock, but they are starting to run low, some of them. So I really need to take this hex. Luckily I should have sufficient artillery to do it, even with the Luftwaffe being down. Right, that is pretty much it. We still don't quite have enough political points to play the glider division, so we're going to leave that for now. And yeah, we're going to continue pushing with 6th Army, but cautiously. We're trying to keep our casualties down at this point. Alright, thanks a lot everyone, and I will see you all next turn.